Hey everybody, welcome to the Invention Licensing Show. I'm your host, David Fidowa, and I help people get their products licensed. Today, we've got Dennis Carter here.
Hey everyone.
Thank you, Dennis, for jumping on with us. He is one of the Invent Tribe students that had licensed this product, and I asked him to come on and tell his story. It's actually pretty cool, exciting story, awesome journey, and I think that him sharing this story with everybody is going to have a lot of impact because a lot of people see the end result. They're like, hey, I got this product license, but they don't get to hear the difficulties and the stumbling blocks, and I think Dennis can tell that story really well, and so that's one of the reasons I brought him on. So Dennis, thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. So I have an automotive cleaning product, and it's an automotive cleaning tool, attaches to any public vacuum or self-service vacuum at the gas stations or car washes. So my journey started because I have a young son, and I could never reach the French fries and dirt and debris in the purposes of the car.
And the Cheerios?
Yeah, Cheerios, all that.
I was just cleaning out my car. There's Cheerios everywhere.
All that stuff. And in the summertime, it kind of makes it stink.
Yeah, they start to cook in there.
Exactly. So I came in with the product, the Lean Clean, and it's it's an attachment, like I said, and I got a couple of patents on it.
Very cool.
Patents through the journey, and I linked up with David in order to help me get knowledge in licensing, because I kind of knew how to design the product, but I needed the experience to actually learn how to get the product licensed and how to communicate with the companies and stuff like that. So
yeah, and that's what I tell everybody is like, I don't teach inventing, I teach the business side of like helping people figure out and navigate. It's difficult, it's not easy.
This is very difficult. You have to have a lot of patience, of course, but you have to be kind of relentless at it. You have to stay focused and just don't give up your journey. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's time is different for when they would get their product license, and everybody has their own unique path. So just don't give up, stay at it, stay in your industry, that your product fits, and just keep going at it. Everybody's journey is different. Some people do it in months, some people do it in years. It took me a couple of years actually to get this license, but
I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people jump in there and they're like, oh, we did it really quick. And I'm like, it doesn't usually happen that way. Like,
it's not
really
really
realistic with people.
Right. Yeah. So you gotta stay persistent at it. Just stay persistent, just like anything else in life, If you really want it, you're gonna find your path.
We're working with you over the last year and a half, maybe 2 years now. It's that's one word I would kind of like tie to your name as relentless. Like it was just like so cool to see you go through that journey, because like you hit brick walls, right? There were design issues, there were cost issues, there were, even once we got a deal on the table, there was issues.
Right. You're gonna go through all kinds of bumps in the road.
It's like you didn't even let them phase you. I know that they did phase you, but like from the outside, it was just like looking at you. You're just like, don't worry about that. We'll get through it. We'll get this thing on the bus.
I just see them as tests, just like you just got to pass those hurdles to get where you want to be. But you got to stay relentless on it and just aim for your
pushing through. So like when you were creating marketing material for your product, I mean, this is going back 18 months, 24 months, maybe. When you were starting that process, like, what was it like? I mean, you're like, I've got a product. What do I do?
I was kind of overwhelmed. I mean, I didn't really know how to create the marketing material. I watched David a lot, watched his videos. I got knowledge on it. You can't be afraid to get into the deep waters. You just got to jump into it sometimes. So even if you don't think it's working, it's working. Like I created my first content or video with the iPhone, and it worked out. We had to chop it up and edit it, but it worked out. So, you just got to believe in yourself. You'll get done.
And so and that's one of the questions I get from a ton of people is they're like, do I need to like hire a video crew?
No, not at all. I asked David the same thing. Should I hire a professional video crew or professional?
And you
It's
got
just
the
not
deal.
necessary
You got the
sometimes.
deal with just a iPhone camera video.
Exactly. And that's all you need. You're selling your product, not yourself. So if you get the right shots in your product, just aim on your product and make it as unique as you know it is, you can definitely get a licensing deal.
Mhm.
So
And how did you find the company that you ended up actually? Because and to like fill everybody else in, like Dennis, you had interest from like multiple companies through this journey, and the deals didn't end up going through.
yeah, I
Um,
had some deals it didn't go through for uh, sometimes things just fall off. They just don't pan out. But my journey was just like I said, just being relentless. I went through maybe, I guess you would call it my hit list of companies.
yeah.
Um, I might have went through 150 companies
Hmm.
in my industry, and some were out of my industry. But I just kept at it. Like I have an automotive cleaning tool, so I figured I can look at automotive companies that not so much automotive, but automotive companies that are in the cleaning. Um, Maybe like some department stores like AutoZone.
Hmm.
But I can also, since it's a cleaning tool, I can also look at cleaning companies.
Hmm.
So there's
So,
ways you can break down your product. It doesn't have to be one industry just because your product is. You can break it down. You have to be creative with it. You have to be. So they say. I always thought you had to be more creative to design your product, but it's kind of like you have to be more creative to get your product licensed. You have
yeah,
to really
and the
go out
journey.
through the journey. You have to be creative, even navigating through the companies and reaching the right people. You have to be creative to do that.
Hmm.
Like David would say, starting a relationship with the gatekeeper at the company or whatever the case is, you have to be creative to get there.
Hmm.
So,
And were you calling companies? Were you emailing companies? Like, how are you getting
oh, I
in?
did it all, David. I called, emailed, uh, I did it all, called, emailed. I even went to a couple companies and met them in person because
Hmm.
we're during the COVID. I want to bring COVID up, but I'm
Hmm.
the kind of guy I like to meet people in person versus calling and um,
Yeah,
talking to them. So I drove down the first licensee I drove to Boston from DC. That
you're.
didn't work out.
So that was another
That
question. You're in DC, right?
Yes, sir. I'm in
Yeah.
DC. I drove from Boston to DC. Um, I met that guy at a trade show. That's another thing. You go to trade shows and you got to use all your options and all your resources. Like you never know where the opportunity can come from. It can come from that guy you met at the trade show, or it can come from somebody you called from your hit list. So first, I met a guy at a trade show, and I drove to Boston to talk to him about licensing the product
Hmm.
again, person. That didn't work out. So the next guy I met in Alabama, I met the guy who licensed the product. I met him through my hit list, just emailing people relentlessly throughout the year. And I drove down to Alabama and I met him and we hung out, and that's how I licensed the product. It
That's
was in
crazy.
Alabama. Yes.
I mean that's awesome. I mean, I don't know very many people that would go that far, right? I mean, a lot of people they're like, oh, they didn't answer their phone, so I'm not gonna end up licensing this. But like, you
Yeah.
drove from DC to Boston, you drove from DC to
Yeah.
Alabama to get your
Yeah.
product on the shelf.
10-hour drive, but I seen, the guy was a perfect situation. I saw he was in the same industry, the automotive cleaning industry. So
Yep.
I just put
And his
all my
distribution
confidence.
chain aligned. Like he sells in all the stores. He
Yep.
connects with all of the
Back in
cleaning.
industry people.
Yep, the
Um,
car wash companies.
yep. But
And
sometimes
so,
you see an opportunity, you just you want to go all out. Don't leave any stone unturned. Just, you know,
mhm,
that was my um, method of doing this. So,
yeah, and once you got your at the time potential licensee, and then they turned into your licensee.
yes.
Um, what was that deal process like for you?
It was a little back and forth. Negotiating, that's not really something I had any experience in. But with David, he helped me. The Invent tribe, they helped me with my way through it. He presented me a contract, so I gave it back to me and David reviewed it, and it was a lot of back and forth. Not a lot, but maybe a month or two,
Mhm.
just negotiating the contract, and that's how it is. It's not an overnight process. Everything in this is a process, but it can, the journey is going to be worth it at the end as long as you stick with it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing up the fact that it was a month or two of negotiation, because a lot of people, and even me, when I started out, I was like, oh, when you negotiate, you get on the phone, you talk about numbers, and then you sign contracts the next day. And it's like,
No, it's not like that at all.
it's
No.
not like that. Like, that's not reality.
No, and if it did happen like that, I think it wouldn't be a good deal. You kind
Yes,
of
yes, that is right.
you want to build a relationship. So just like
Yeah.
any relationship, there's going to be ups and downs, a little friction. So you kind of want that. You don't want everything to just be smooth, or when things are too smooth, sometimes it's not such a good thing in the long run. So
Yeah, I agree, because and I guess that's getting kind of like on a side topic, but when there's friction, you get to show your value, and
right,
you presented your value, right? Chip
exactly.
was like, hey, this is not going to work for this, this, and this, and you're like, nope, I'm going to come in and fix it, right? You came
Yeah,
in,
we did
fixed
exactly.
problems. You went from your version 1 to version 3, which is the actual what's
Right.
going into
Yeah, we had
production, which is a universal version.
right. This version right here, universal attachment. So this one can attach to any um any car wash nozzle. So the
So in
first
that,
one is attached to a certain type of nozzle, but after the licensee, so we had a meeting on the phone, and the licensee he kind of broke it down to me. He's like, I would need to make a universal attachment that fits all the public vacuums, not just one style of
and so
vacuum.
you got to fill in the listeners on this. So when you go to a public vacuum,
Yes.
tell them about the different nozzles.
So when you go to a public vacuum, uh, these are the nozzles, the part that actually touches the interior of your car. And I didn't know there were 4 styles of these. So that's another good thing. I met the guy who knows about the industry, Kip, my licensee. He told me off the bat there are 4 styles of these. The whole time I created this, I thought there was only one style nozzle. I'm traveling around the country and testing out different nozzles, but there's 4 styles. So after we had the phone call, me and my engineer, we came up with a way to make it universal, so it can fit all the uh, nozzles, not just one style nozzle. It fits all 4 style nozzles because of this flat piece.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And so and that was one thing when I was getting started, I didn't realize for myself was what industry knowledge I would kind of obtain. And it's interesting. Did you think hey, when I get started in this, I'm going to know about how all these different nozzles work, how they're designed, and
I really didn't. I didn't at all, but I've always had an interest in car washes and just being clean in general. Just I've always hated dirty crevices. So dirty crevices of anything, cars, corners. So this kind of went exactly with it. But I did learn a lot, David. I learned a lot about the industry, nozzles, vacuums, vacuum companies, public vacuum.
distribution, how products
Yes.
move, and we're getting deeper and deeper into that.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
It's a lot. It's a lot to learn, but I mean, it's definitely worth it. But it kind of comes naturally into the journey. You're learning while you're going, so it's not like you have to study. It's not a lot of pressure. It kind of comes natural. For a while, I didn't really understand what a manufacturer was. But now with that, we're working with the manufacturer. It's a lot to it, but
there's and,
there's a lot of
and there's
different pieces to the process.
yeah, there's a lot to it, but it's not as you said, it comes over time. It's I had a conversation with an injection molder, and they were talking about sonic welding. And this was a conversation you and I had the other day.
Right.
We were talking, because I remember back when I got started, and a manufacturer brought up sonic welding, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this thing is. And so I'm Googling while I'm on the call, figuring out what they're talking about.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Sometimes you have to sometimes you kind of have to act like you have knowledge of the industry to get the
You do a
respect.
little bit.
Even if you're on the phone, you have to Google what they're saying. Like David said, you have to do what you have to do because I'm pretty sure they did the same thing when on their journey. So,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, it's just
Yep.
got to make it happen.
And so like one thing, now that you've essentially climbed the mountaintop and you're looking back, I mean, was it what you expected?
Yes, it was. I mean, it was. I mean, we did this during the pandemic, so it was definitely what I expected. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've always figured I would get a license. So yes, I can say it's what I expected. I
I
didn't
love
know I didn't know it was such a process. I didn't know once you get the product license, the journey still continues.
still in
So
motion.
still in motion. You still have to be there. You still, or you should be there, I should say. Um,
Mhm.
but I thought once you get a license, it's smooth from there. But it's 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 smoother after you get a license, but you still need to be involved
Yep.
and make you want to stay on top of your things. Like this is
Mhm.
my baby, so I put a lot of effort, time, and money into this. So you want to stay on top of it, just like anything else you really value.
Yep. And for those that are watching and listening, I'd rewind about a minute and a half and listen to what Dennis just said. He said, I expected to license it. He had no doubt in his mind. It was an expectation that it was going to be licensed. It was just a matter of time. And that's one of the things that I harp on. It has to be an expectation. You can't say, well, I might do it. I want to do it. No, it's an expectation. Just it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And that usually separates the successful inventors like Dennis. I guess I got to point that way. And the other people. You set as an expectation, and then what's left to do is just execute, right? You just follow through on the things you need to do, and eventually the deal shows up, and you work out all the problems as you
Yeah.
did.
But you got to execute. And you need to stay relentless.
Mm-hmm.
Now more than ever. So
Yep.
stay relentless. Because there's probably going to be a lot of the market could be saturated with people trying to bring out products after this pandemic. So I would jump in the game now before everything gets better, because everybody else will be trying to do the same thing. But you have to stay relentless and believe in yourself, just like anybody else. License the product. And another thing that kind of helped me out was I forgot who told me this, but when you're reaching out to companies, don't be intimidated because they're major companies or they're companies in general. They're still individuals. They're people just like you and me. So you break it down, you find who you need to talk to and just don't be intimidated, man. Just have the confidence and just talk to them out of respect. But the companies are people, so don't be so intimidated. They're willing to talk to you. And if you have new products they're interested in, they would definitely show interest and make
Mm-hmm.
things happen. Yes.
That's awesome. That's great words of advice, because I know when I got started, I had a really big problem with that, right? Because you're like, I'm calling these big companies that do millions of dollars a year. I'm just a little product developer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like it gets in your head,
It
but
does. It does.
then once you realize it's like, oh,
They're
this guy that I'm
individual.
calling is like Bob, like my next door neighbor,
Yeah, they're
and
just
he's
like
going to his day
anybody
job.
else. And the
Yeah,
thing that helped me out, I would look them up on LinkedIn, or
yeah.
you can find out who the people are you want to talk to in the company, and you can look them up on LinkedIn. You can find out about them. Maybe that would make you feel more comfortable. You can
Mhm.
use, find out things about them that you can start small talk with, just to get in there. But you have to be creative. But LinkedIn was definitely a great tool for me to not being so intimidated by companies, finding the right people, kind of seeing their face and just taking it from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So one of the I do that same exact thing that you do, and then I sometimes I'll go on Google Maps and I'll pull up their office building, because then
Oh
I'll
yeah.
look at the building on Google Maps and be like, they're just going to work. Like this is an
Yeah,
office building like any other.
just a normal building. All right, just see
Yeah.
what it looks like.
I'm
It's just
like,
a normal building. Yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm seeing what they're seeing,
same
and
thing.
it calmed my nerves down.
Yeah, just to get a feel of their geography, what's going on over there. So
Yeah. I don't know why that helps. Like I couldn't put a finger on that one, but it helps.
it does. It does.
Helps
It kind
me.
of calms you down. It's just it loves you out. They're not like in the big skyscraper. They're just normal people, just trying to
Yeah.
make money. Like trying to.
Trying
We're
to
all
get
trying
good
to help each
product,
other.
make money. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
we're
just
all
like,
trying to help each other. So don't feel like you're the small guy because you're bringing them a product that they can use to help their company. So
yeah.
you can.
And I mean,
That's
I always tell inventors when you're getting started, like when you're presenting a product, like literally you're giving them possibly $1 million opportunity. They can make $1 million from what you're talking to them about every single year.
right.
It's like,
Right.
of course they want to take your call.
Exactly. You're the asset. You're the
Yeah.
asset.
And I think once your mindset shifts to what Dennis is talking about, you have a much easier time by just calling, having conversations as like person to person. And
Right.
that's when they treat you as like a respected member of the product
Right.
development community. It's
Kind of makes the relationship a little it's normal,
yeah.
you know.
Well,
Because
and I think you did an amazing job developing the relationship with your licensee. That didn't happen overnight, but like, I mean, showing that you're willing to drive down to his facility, meet him, walk around, like be face to face.
right, right, right.
Like, man, that's such value add. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know that's how things used to get done. People meet face to face, so I just try to still continue that. Even though there's a lot of technology, but sometimes there's nothing like face to face. If you can make it there, just if you can make it there, it's definitely worth a try. But get permission first. Just don't show up.
Very cool. Well, now that you've got this license, obviously it's still in process. Are you looking at developing another product, or are you just going to focus on getting this one out there in a bigger way?
No, actually, so the Lean Clean and the company I licensed it to, we're trying to make this a brand, uh, maybe a brand of automotive cleaning tools.
Oh,
So,
cool.
like David said, we have maybe 3 uh, attachments, but we plan to make other cleaning tools as well.
Very cool.
Automotive cleaning tools, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
we also deal with the chemical side, soaps and yeah, we plan to have a line of make this a brand, a line of automotive cleaning tools.
very cool. And we'll put links down below the video or the podcast, whichever one you're on. And so you'll be able to link in and see Dennis's product. This video might actually come out a little bit before the product comes
Right.
out. And so we'll add the links if they're not there. And so, I want to thank you, Dennis, for spending the time with me and
Oh,
coming
thank
on
you
and
for
telling
having
your
me, Dave.
story.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching and spending the time to watch. But definitely stay persistent. That's all you can do. You can't fail if you're persistent. You're gonna just go at it. You'll find your way, just like anything else. You'll find your way. It's definitely there for you. Just stay at it.
Set your expectation.
Yes.
I
Keep your
expect
foot on the
to-
gas. Keep your foot on the gas. That's what I did. Keep your foot on the gas.
Yes, you did.
Gonna have ups and downs, but keep your foot on the gas,
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you do like the product, obviously, Dennis would love if you purchased it. If you found it or a friend needs it, buy it for them. Anybody with kids, it's perfect for. So check out the link below. The Lean Clean is the product. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it, and see everybody on the next episode.